Some more sentences. 170 other poems by Gilchrist Hawes.
Items 1 through 17. Genius is a verb. I'm taking a hard-earned rest today, and won't genius even a bit. For genius is more like a verb, some say, to wit, to consummate wit. Last time I geniused, it nearly killed me. I almost ruptured my skull. I came to, but my noggin was filmy, my behavior coarse and dull. My wife said, "Dear, please don't genius again. You're quite behind in your chores." She handed me a mop and a dustpan, and I got down on all fours. Said Percy, "I've a right to genius, my dear, for in me it's innate." Said Mary, "Husband, I rather fear you're conflating hubris with fate." From Mozart to Miles on Kind of Blue, genius is a verbalized act. Precisely what Salieri didn't do, not something that he lacked. Holograms. Oh, to exhibit our deeds and accomplishments. Such an exhibition never takes place. Picture us walking away in astonishment at all the treasures we'd amassed beneath our face, the early loves to which we'd given chase, the minor failures that led to greater success, all categories displayed in separate rooms, the challenges with which our lives were pressed, the aborted projects, the flourishes and booms. It's possible such a gallery does exist, and that a curator keeps collecting highlights, scenes, and curios of our best and worst. A cherubic trumpet one day will clear the mist to unveil the holograms projecting savvy sayings we said and daring deeds we durst. The breakaway. It's a given. Everyone needs to break away. We may spend a lifetime figuring out what it is we need to break away from and why, and later in the past tense after the rupture, what precisely it was we rejected. Even determining the exact point of time that the breakaway occurred is up for debate. The question occasions varied dismay as we puzzle ourselves over what we're about. Sad, though, are people who never so much as try to claim a history to restructure, and have only ever done what was expected of them so as to avoid taboo, scandal, crime, arrival too soon, departure too late. Still, the breakaway is everyone's modern fate. In an autumn hoodie, or yet another Keith Richards joke. Grand projects devolve into piecemeal impressions as we age, and this is how it should be as we mull over previously learned lessons and engarb what we've learned in an autumn hoodie. But aging brains don't turn into putty. Rather, they engineer a downshift of the will to balance ambition with reduction in might, accepting that the mind sharpens when still, that contemplative inaction is often right. Those are my morning thoughts. In keeping with this drift, let's fill this sestet with some levity. We owe our expanded human longevity to science, medicine, the Enlightenment shift, and more recently, to wellness wizards, not a one of whom will outlast our Keith Richards. The double fake. There's so much fake shit out there these days, we must speak of the double fake. It's hard to discern the true false through the haze steaming off the half-baked casserole of misinformation, simple ignorance, and sheer lies, the malignant proliferation of deceit with little disguise. Thus we get Trump's Christian deepfake, which fakes something already corrupt, that evil Christian nationalist take from which the Christ has been dropped. A brand new phenomenon, a doppelganger, a double-goer, orange colossus of trouble who's debased us lower and lower. Reality and truth are dead, either that or they're under a trance. See him get sleepy and bow his head, the drool dribbling onto his pants. Bringing into being a thing of taste. I think I'll bring something into being today. I can't say exactly what it'll be. Before this event to occur, my mind must stray from its path-worn radius and make itself free to venture off on a fanciful spree. This is a decision I repeatedly make. How often I forget that it's mine to be made. Sometimes life just needs to take a good break from the dull demands of acquisition and trade, from all the junk around us that begs to be used, the bulk of which we know will go to waste. What I bring to being will not be so abused. See it come into its own as a thing of taste. Readers, if by now you're vexed or confused, I'd say you've examined this gem with too much haste. Like Woody Allen in a rugby scrum, or meaningful nonsense. It's important to feel good, even more important to feel better. Eve wanted to chomp right down to the core, but Adam wouldn't let her. All high-minded theories of nonsense will wrap in a compendium of absurdly comic crap, like Woody Allen in a rugby scrum. We'll write a book entirely filled with ciphers of the ridiculous. We've become quite skilled in lampooning the abstract and meticulous. The former leads to nowhere, as empiricists always tell us. Without it, the latter's quite a scare, scholars impotent and jealous, with empty precisions that veer to the ditch of forsaken concepts. We wade in, pick them up, and stitch them back into meaningful nonsense. Poetica e Scientia. Or, get juiced with me, young Kepler. Poetry serves as a measure of the extent to which the world has never stopped learning, although poets can hardly make more than a dent in any revolutionary upturning of knowledge or information, earning their distinction through creative commentary on advancements in wisdom, techne, and so forth, highlighting those extraordinary, or intraordinary to be more precise, considerations that science might overlook, as it mustn't always need to think twice, zooming us to its heaven by hook and by crook, despite the shifting location of that true north, which poets pin down where it used to be. But come, young Kepler, come out and get juiced with me. Ain't no bitter pill, or toying with you just the same. I'm playing around with words today, pretty much what I always do, for otherwise I might go astray and say something you'd misconstrue. This way you'll know I'm only joking, not to be taken at my word. But you'll never know, as I may be cloaking two meanings in a third. One, a humiliating prank designed to gin you like a pheasant. You'll only have yourself to thank when it turns out to be unpleasant. At the same time, its twin will pick your pocket. You'll walk home penniless. You'll flash me a desperate look. I'll just mock it and never confess. So beware of the non-literal and be thinking, what's his game? The poem that ain't no bitter pill may be toying with you just the same. Like a daughterless King Lear. These days I'm focusing on output, for I've taken in far too much. I did so to develop an outlook built on words and thoughts and such. But having misered up so much junk, I'm eager to send it all back. I'm so overburdened, my mind's in a funk that isn't due to lack. For I've far, far more than I will use, far more than I ever could need. See accumulation turn bounteous ruse, as plenty runs to seed. I'd consider holding an auction, but I can't find an auctioneer. I'm divesting myself without caution, like a daughterless King Lear. And so I'm selling these oddities off in a simple backyard sale. Wave if you see one you like, or cough. I'll throw in a free pint of ale. Because they had to be true. You know when a person's done something with love, you see it in their face. And whether or not they had something to prove, stayed put or left their place, emoted with passion or deep chagrin, fury, aplomb, or disdain, agreed to take a slight on the chin, or howled in an excess of pain, and whether their love's due to fate, death, chance, or something else in the air, whether they babble with joy and prance or are newly burdened with care. You're in no doubt that they did what they did because they had to be true. True in their pressing need to get rid of wasteful regrets that accrue when once again we've refused to feel and have left what's best in us die. You can tell when a person's love is real, whether they laugh, weep, or sigh. Tempo, rhythm, and pace. I've lived my life for the most part in quiet, which has been good for me. I wasn't constructed for fame or riot or social misery. I'll thank her or him when I meet my angel for giving me some space. It's made it easy for me to untangle my rhythm from my pace. For tempo determines the latter, and itself is subject to change, of the sort that's none of our matter, although we subsist in its range. We develop our own unique rhythm to ensure that we'll keep up with the rest of the men and women with whom we will breakfast and sup, as we make our way through the human sphere with all of our diverse moods, ways of experiencing love, hope, and fear, our styles, our attitudes. Like Paul McCartney in Helter Skelter. Imagine if we didn't keep our thoughts at bay. Which thoughts precisely do I mean, you ask? Well, all of them. All the thoughts that come into play as a result of random changes through the day, and the sundry burdens with which we are tasked. Whims and brags, brain farts, embarrassing caprices, ideas that could be developed but won't be, libidinal thoughts buried in creases of memories dating from when we were lonely. In other words, what if humans didn't filter anything that ever came into mind, like Paul McCartney when he wrote Helter Skelter in a sordid threat to musical humankind? John looked at Paul and muttered, "Bloody hell, the devil in you has sprung from your deepest well." Clutter, or a trip to your local city mill. A trip to your local city mill tells you all that you'd care to know. Looks on folks' faces are pitiful, scouring the shelves from high to low for tools they need to replace again as the old ones have turned to rust, or plastic crap like that garbage bin disintegrating into dust. At least a few such folks must feel some dread, some specter of helplessness at the waste we generate ere we drop dead. I've often felt like this. We burn up what we've accumulated, then accumulate some more. For nothing human is ever created without filth, waste, and gore. If ever you hail me at City Mill and I don't return in kind, don't chalk it up to cold ill will, but to clutter that's cluttered my mind. The bottom of the barrel scrapes back. The bottom of the barrel scrapes back, I heard someone on TV say. It happens when a country gets off track and sinks into deep decay. Our first family, the vulgar Trumps, replaced the refined Obamas. How this happened vexes and stumps and adds to our national traumas, much we'd prefer not to think about as the world compares us to Rome. Yes, how we promoted this orange lout will baffle many a tome, assuming we've still historians so willing to countenance shame. For there's precious little glory in documenting infamous fame. "That's it, the worst of the worst," barked the barrel. "I ain't got nothing left." The Trumps emerged in gaudy apparel, leaving the barrel bereft. Pockets. There are people who manage to live forever via secret pockets distributed in time. They are born, they die like the rest of us. But they find these pockets within our finitude, periodic rests, prolonged getaways in which they attend to their own needful matters, creative aspirations, or thirsts for knowledge through which they distill the laws of physics, engineer the meshwork of species counterpoint, invent new modes of human commiseration that allow the rest of us to better appreciate life, world, all the worlds around us. Such people know who they are, but keep the secret between themselves and the gods and angels who've pocketed infinities in the finite. Turning 61, or Elephant in the Womb. My 61st year has put me through the ringer. A diagnosis of leukemia in April, followed by July sciatica. Excruciating electric shocks to the back of my right hamstring just above the knee. Disc deterioration, L5 to S1. Severe at that, as per the MRI report. They slapped on headphones and let me listen to Miles Davis, title track on the Bitches Brew album. Perfect space age soundtrack for supining a Mobley. No, not a word, but fuck it. In a Kubrick-y tube in which one conjectures that Hal might pull the life cord at any moment. Better not get saucy with the humans involved. I asked them politely to crank the miles up a bit, but there were recorded instructions I needed to attend to in the tube. Imaging commencing. Please remain motionless. That opening quarter note C on electric bass slurred to a second staccatoed C, halting though commanding and ominously sure. Then Chick Corea on electric piano, A-flat minor chord with major seventh. Now Miles' angry pachyderm struts into the womb. Soon the bassists settle things down with 60s funk. Helped bring me out of my own funk, I guess. You spend your youth working towards that youth up ahead, one in which you're established, financially set, only to learn that it's no longer youth. Here's to aging backwards through my 62nd. Alternative ending. Here's to youthing forwards through my 62nd. And that was the first 17 poems in Some More Sentences, 170 Other Poems by Gilchrist Haas.